Hi guys, and welcome to episode 3 of the Stoic Performance podcast. My name is Matty Green, and on today's show we have Ross Hanrahan. He is a personal trainer who I had the pleasure of taking through Royal Marines training back in 2011, I believe it was. It was quite a long time ago. Ross has since gone on, had his career in the Corps. He went across, worked in Dubai for a little bit, and then came back, and now he is the owner of 2 gyms. So he's doing really, really well for himself. We talk about his time in training, the good times, the bad times, which there were quite a few. The times I was pretty tough on him as well. And then we go into how he's dealing with the current situation at the moment during obviously lockdown. So really good podcast, great to listen, and I hope you enjoy it. Nice one. How you doing?
Good, mate. You?
Yeah, I'm all right. What's new?
Got a little one on the way now, mate.
Oh, yes. Congratulations. Your life is about to get turned upside down.
I know, I'm going to ask you for some tips.
Don't ask me, mate.
What's new with you? How's it going?
Yeah, good. Obviously, in the same boat as you with the gym, and just starting to do some outdoor PT again. Starting out next week.
Same.
So at least we can do that, I guess.
Yeah, it'll keep ticking over for a bit.
How have you found it?
I was all right for the first couple of weeks. I think once I'd completed like 90% of my backlog of jobs and rested, then I was getting agitated.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I enjoy my job. So
yeah,
it's one of those things like social interaction, all that type of stuff. I'm missing it now. First month probably was all right, but now I'm like, okay, get me back. I need to, start coaching people, seeing results, all that type of thing as well. So, and it's funny to see how clients have reacted, because some of my clients have done really, really well during this time, and some of them have like just fallen off the wagon.
Yeah, same.
So it's a complete mismatch. I mean, it's been good for me because it's forced me to have a rest, and it's forced me to rethink things. And you can only really do that when you're not working day in, day out on the job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's been a good thing, but I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, okay, I've had my holiday. Let's crack on again now.
That's it. I mean, we opened up in 2015, July 2015. So it's been pretty much 5 years straight of, 6 days a week, late nights, early mornings, because the way our gym runs is I'm there at 6 a.m. in the morning. I'm also there 8:30, maybe 9:30 at night, most nights. So it was just constant. So for me to have this bit of downtime has been welcomed, definitely been welcomed. But yeah, trying to think now about, progressing the business and working on a lot of our online stuff. And also having a bit of downtime with the kids, that's been really good. It's been really good to be dad and to kind of put the kids to bed every night, which you will learn about soon.
Yeah. 3 months to go.
So Ross, I kind of wanted to get you on because we're in this like unique situation where I took you through training.
You may be the man I am today, mate.
I wouldn't say that. I might have had a little influence, you never know, but we've kind of gone down the same path. And it's interesting to see. I think many bootnecks go from not just in the Corps, but military will go 2 ways. It's either private sector with security, or it's kind of maybe offshore oil rigs, or kind of into the strength and conditioning route, personal training route. So pretty much wanted to go over like our time in training, how you found it, that type of stuff. and then how we've kind of progressed and what you're up to now and all that type of stuff. So we'll take it to like, first up, why did you want to join the Royal Marines? What made you join the Royal Marines?
You know, this is quite funny actually, because I wasn't going to the careers office to join the Royal Marines. So I actually was going to be like a search and rescue winchman in the Air Force, mainly because it paid better. I just wanted to get paid. I think the starting wage for them was like 32,000 a year.
Right.
Whereas a Marine,
the wrong job. Shit.
Yeah, a Marine was like what 16 grand or something for starting, 17, 18 grand after training. Yeah, but it was funny. So I arrived at my final interview, and then this bloke was like, "Yeah, we've put you on a 5-year waiting list." It was 2009 when I was signing up. So everyone was joining the armed forces, and the Royal Air Force. You know, they were taking on older guys that had a bit more life experience and all that type of stuff.
How old were you?
And then actually, our mutual friend down the careers office, Mr. Mark Lovell with his blue eyes and tan skin, he sort of pulled out this book full of photos in Afghanistan. He was like, "You don't want to fucking join the Royal Air Force, you want to join the Royal Marines." And then I think I came home that day and I just said to my mum, I'm joining the Royal Marines now. She was like, "What's that?" I don't know what that is. I was like, "I'm not really sure either." It was funny how I fell into it, really. And then Mark made me meet him in Cambridge every Friday, and I had to run round the sort of Central Park in Cambridge and do push-ups and sit-ups and all the rest of it. And then about 6 weeks later, he took me to the pre-Royal Marines course, come top of the pre-Royal Marines course. And then 6 weeks after that, I was starting training, and that was it.
Awesome. That's class. I didn't know, I knew he worked down there, but I didn't know he did that much work with you personally before.
Yeah, so Mark was really good actually at, it was the first time that they'd had a Marine down there at the careers office.
Yeah.
I think he was only down there because he'd broken his ankle playing football. So it was interesting. He loved it though, because he could wear his Royal Marines Commando uniform and all the rest of it, walk past the salons and all that type of stuff.
Classic Lovell.
And obviously being Lovell, he was just wearing like a Royal Marines jumper.
Yeah.
Trying to be alley as fuck, whatever it was. So, he was wearing his beret down there, gobbing off at us. Winking at the girls walking past the salon and all that type of stuff. It was quite funny, actually.
How old were you when you joined?
18.
18.
So I was the second youngest to Jake, who was in our troop as well.
Yeah.
Remember Jake Timberlake?
Timberlake, yep.
Yeah, Timberlake, yeah. So I was the second youngest. So turned 19, just didn't tell anyone halfway through training.
Right. See, that's interesting, because if the youngest, how old was Jake?
Jake was just turned 17.
Right, because when I joined, there was like probably 7 or 8 lads who were 16.
Yeah.
I just turned 17, but
because you could join, you could apply at 16, couldn't you? And then you joined at 16 and a half, was it, or something like that? At least
15 years 9 months. You can
15 years 9 months.
Apply, which for any 15-year-old, hats off to him. I mean, I started the process at 16, but I did a year in college, so I wanted to become an officer. And that was my goal, but academically not good enough. So I was like, right, I'll go back to college. I'll get what I need to, and then literally 6 months into my first year at college, I was like, this is not me. I cannot do it anymore. And I was like, right, I'm just joining. And I think it was the best decision. One of the best decisions I've ever made in my life was just to go for it. And I'm glad I did.
Yeah, it was funny because I did 2 years at college, knowing that I wanted to join the government sector, but I didn't really know what. So I just stayed for the full 2 years. And then when basically my mum said that she was moving abroad, she was moving to Dubai, I was like, well, I've got to do something. So I've got nowhere to live. It all fell into place quite well, actually. But yeah.
So when obviously you kind of fell into joining the Corps, didn't know too much about it, those kind of weeks leading up, were you doing your homework? Were you thinking, my God, what have I got myself into? Or was you kind of like raring to go?
Yeah, so I think the big eye opener was the pre-Royal Marines course. So for me, it was mainly the fact that a lot of the guys on the pre-Royal Marines course had been there. They were on it for the second time.
Yep.
And not knowing that much about the Royal Marines then, I just knew that I was fit. And then if Mark obviously gave me an indicator to say, like, you're fit enough to pass the Royal Marines course. It's whether you've got it upstairs in your head to sort of get through it. Yeah. And when I got there, there's just a lot of gobbing off. There's a lot of lads that talk the talk and all the rest of it. And
yeah.
And then when I got top of the course, I thought, shit, that actually weren't that, like, it was hard, but it wasn't like,
wasn't that hard.
You know,
yeah.
I trained for it, so there was a difference. Like, I was trained, and a lot of the other guys were untrained. So they'd lived and breathed the Marines, and it had been their dream their entire life, but they weren't physically capable of getting through the pre-Royal Marines course. When I joined, and you go into that 60 bed room down in phase 1. Yeah. So I think then the main thing for me was there was a lot of older guys that I thought that I probably should have looked up to. So if you're younger and you're joining, you kind of like look at the older guys for a bit of support and all the rest of it. And a lot of them were jacked, like ripped, 6-packs, like all the rest of it. And I remember like getting into week 1 thinking, shit, like I'm not sure that because there's so many you go through certain phases of training where you go through like doubts in your head. And there was like 6'4" blokes with, 6-packs and all the rest of it. But then come week 6, week 7, week 8, and then end of the gym phase at the start, a lot of these guys were dropping off.
Mm-hmm.
And they might have looked good on the surface, but they didn't have it all upstairs. Yeah. I remember one guy, can't remember his name now. In fact, I won't name names, but bald guy who was quite tall, super fit, first on everything gym related. So do camp circuits, he'd come first by an absolute mile, everything. Like, I can't remember what they gave you in week 9 if you were top of the gym.
Superior pass type thing.
Yeah, superior pass or whatever. Him and 5 others got that. And then as soon as we got down to bottom field and we started lifting logs and everything was cold and you started carrying kit, he just broke, like completely snapped under the tension. And then I thought, oh, right, okay, actually, I'm doing all right at this. I think I'll stick to it. So I think you just go. I just had a couple of odd days where you're sort of looking around at the start and you're trying to find your feet, and everything's really like super intense and you're not getting much sleep and all the rest of it, and you're getting screamed at all the time. So it's I think after about week 10. After, I think, Hunter's Moon's week 10. So after Hunter's Moon, I think after that, I was like, right, okay.
That was a sorry state for you lot, wasn't it?
Oh, that was it's funny. So I'm in a group still, the 119 Penguins Assemble group.
Oh, nice. Nice.
It's quite funny. All the lads are still in it. And we still talk about that.
Right.
That Tuesday. Fucking remember it still to this day. It was absolutely honking. That was probably one of the worst. That was the worst day in training, I think. The worst day.
Tell us why. What had happened on that day?
So Hunter's Moon is the exercise where you take all of the skills that you've learned up until week 10, 11, 12. It's week 10 or something like that.
Week 10.
Yeah, and you take all the skills, and then you start your night navigation phase, and it was this December, first week of December, something like that. Yeah. It was just honking weather, so the weather was absolutely stinking, rain, sleet, and I just remember getting off. We'd all been on because I was in your section.
Yeah.
And we'd all been on a night navigation. There's actually quite a funny bit about that night navigation, about you falling into the river.
Can't remember that one, mate.
We
can come back to that. We'll come back to that, because you'll probably have a better memory of it than me. But we'll come back to that one.
I just remember us harbouring up in this sort of like swampy area, and you're just tired and you're wet and you're cold and all the rest of it. And then these fucking winds through the night were like sideways. And I think it was like 50, 60 mile an hour winds. They were just coming sideways through the poncho. I just remember putting my hand down in my sleeping bag and it being like submerged in water. So I put my hand down. I'm like, I'm sleeping in like, no wonder we're fucking cold. Like there's literally water filling up my sleeping bag. And the kit's flying everywhere, and it's just. I think I'd failed both kit inspections as well, both mornings, and then that morning, I just remember you guys coming out, and it was what I can't remember the sergeant's name, but he was a rock climber type Hawkins, guy, wasn't he?
Nick Hawkins.
Yeah, Hawkins, that's it. And he was screaming, and he was literally like 3 meters away. And he was screaming, and I couldn't hear a fucking thing he was saying, which was how shit the weather was. So he was like screaming, and I could just see roll mats, and I was just like, we are going to get absolutely thrashed this morning. Like no one slept. We've been up doing night navigation all night. Everyone's piss wet through. Everyone's kit's in an absolute shit state. And then it took us about 30 minutes to get from the harbour area to like a dry, covered area.
That little sheltered kind of gazebo thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then we lost the young South African lad, like O'Neill.
O'Leary, was it?
O'Leary or O'Neill, whatever. O'Reilly. Yeah, O'Reilly.
Funny bit about him as well.
And we lost him. And how the fuck we lost him in about 200 meters, I just don't understand. Anyway, obviously the screaming continued because the whole thing was an absolute fucking mess. And then I remember actually everyone having to get their weapons out in the morning, and it was obviously like 90% of people were going to fail because the weather was so shit. There was going to be some level of rust on the weapon or whatever it was. And I'd actually passed. And I was like, fucking yes. Like, I've actually passed my kit inspection. Because you were only checking, everyone was told, obviously, to only check weapons.
Yeah.
And there was only fucking 2 of us left. And I just remember the whole troop being down there and you looking at me and someone else and being like, what do you think you should do, lads? And I'm thinking, great, I'm getting thrashed 3 days in a row. and then it was Bergen's on and another 12 hours of yomping before we went straight into survival.
Yeah, no, I can remember. Yeah. I can remember that part because we as a team were looking at the weather and we were like, right, it's getting to a point now where this is just going to be detrimental to the training outcome that we wanted. And we were like, we're going to have to move them because it was pretty honking. And like, I went through training myself. Me and Lee Head, we both went through training together.
Yeah.
And we went through training.
I'd love to get him on the show.
Yeah. We went through training exactly the same time period as what you guys did, like September to May. So we knew roughly which exercises were coming up, what the weather was going to be like-ish, and we could kind of like, make an assessment of how these exercises are going to run. But that particular night up on Dartmoor was pretty special. Like, I can remember how bad it was.
Yeah.
So testament to you guys. And when we came out in the morning and you lot were like the sorriest bunch of ragtags I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny, that one.
Yeah. I just remember going straight into the Yomp after that, and then looking at Sutcliffe about 5 hours into it, and he was talking to himself about, like, he was hallucinating as he was walking because he was that fucking tired.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. Like, you know, and then, but that part of those small things that I remember gave me more strength, because I just remember blokes being in complete shit states and their feet were fucked because they'd not taped their feet up correctly, and they were, you know, hallucinating while they were walking and stuff like that. And I thought, actually, like, I'm in a lot of pain, but I'm not that bad. Like, I'm still okay. So, but yeah, it was quite funny, actually, because I remember the because who's our captain? Lancaster? No, not Lancaster.
Yeah, I think it was
something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
He was pretty ballsy, though. He was pretty ballsy as a boss, though, to be fair. Yeah. And I just remember the final bit after survival. Oh, that's a whole nother story, actually. We could go on for a while on that one. But yeah, I just remember at the end of that survival phase, the bus being at the end. So that was the first false ending that we'd had. And the bus being at the end, and obviously we spent all that time yomping. Then we went through the first sort of like mountain leader phase, and then survival, where we obviously got all the kit stripped and all the rest of it, and then told to sort of, like, you know, last for 24 hours. And then seeing that bus, I was like, oh, I can't wait to get on that bus and just get back to camp. And then the fucking bus drove off. And then I just remember him saying, right, lads, who wants to quit? Because we're going back, you know, we're going back to that harbour area. And I thought, shit, we're going to be yomping for another, you know, 12, 16 hours back to the thing. I thought, fuck it. So I stuck the Bergen on my back, and I was like ready to go. And then two lads just stuck their hands up and were like, I'm not fucking doing this. No way. And then the bus came back. I think we lost about 14 blokes on that one exercise.
Yeah, it was. I remember sitting from the comfort of the Land Rover and watching you lot put up our tent. And I remember one lad, he was just stood there, and he was like literally out on his feet, completely asleep, stood up, and then he'd wake up a bit. And then we'd beat the horn of the Land Rover, and that'd kind of bring him to, and then he'd like start moving bits of the tent and stuff. But those are the times in training where you can really see when you know, stepping back from it and being able to view the troop from a corporal's perspective is like, on the training team, you can see who wants it the most. You can see who's going to get through regardless. You can see who is the jackist, who's the lad who's going to help others. And for you guys, you know, obviously I've been through it myself. Those are the character building times. Those are the times that really let you know how much you want it and how badly you want it, and to know that you can endure so much if you put your mind to it. Thinking of the end goal, for me, it was always that green lid. Like, that's all I wanted. And the kind of prestige that it carried. So, and I spoke about this the other day, like being lucky not to roll an ankle, lucky not to have a twig in the eye or something through a night nav, or something stupid like that, which could put you completely back. But to get through training all the way without, you know, having too much of a setback was, you can just, you know, it shows how much some people want it in times like that, when it's absolutely honking, they've not slept, and there's, you know, they don't show you that on the
You don't get that on the Channel 4 documentary, do you?
No, they don't get that. And, you know, maybe there wouldn't be many people who would join up if they did. But I think equally, if they showed you just how bad it could be, you would get a whole new crowd thinking, well, I could try that. Maybe I would.
Yeah.
And then maybe you'd get a higher caliber of soldier coming through, or you know what I mean, just a different kind of breed that wanted to come and make it, rather than, you know, you see some of the advertisements for it, and yeah, it looks Gucci as, but you know, it's not what it's like, is it? It's
no.
haunting.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting, and it there was a lot of guys that showed some really good character along the way. I remember a point where, you know, I fucked my ankle up completely.
Was that in
violent
that was
entry
towards like early week 20s? Was that on like violent entry or something like that?
Yeah. So it was funny. We'd been going across like babies' heads all night long.
Yeah.
And then sunrise came, and I fucking rolled my ankle on a metalled road where, yeah. And it was like 2 miles from the end. Like it was just stupid. It was mean, just not, like, I don't know, maybe I was looking back or something, whatever. But I just remember like 100 pounds of kit on your back, and the whole weight of my body went through my ankle. And I just thought, and the first thing in my head wasn't like, oh shit, my ankle. It was, oh shit, I'm going to go back a few weeks in training.
Yeah.
That was my like initial thought. And I thought, there's no way that I'm going to be able to pass the 12-mile load carry next week.
Yeah.
Because my ankle just swelled up like an absolute balloon. It was black, purple, all the rest of it. And I remember getting back to the med bay, and the physiotherapist was just sort of there, and he went, you've got a choice. He said, obviously, I know you don't want to go back in training, but I'm gonna have to release like all the tissue here in your ankle if you're gonna pass next week, and you're gonna have to strap it up. And then I'll speak with the team, because I think it was all in. It was like 13 miles. If you did, it was 12 miles, and there was an additional mile back to camp. He said, like, I can see you might be able to get to the end of it, but like, I'll ask him if you can get in the wagon at the end, because your ankle's going to be like a balloon towards the end of it.
Yeah.
I remember having like a real look. So he basically spent the next 20 minutes pummeling my ankle, and it was all black and purple. And I just think, this is fucking awful. This is absolutely disgusting. And then I did no phys so I had a phys chip for the whole of the week to not do any bottom field, all the rest of it, just so my ankle could rest. And then the Friday did the 12-mile load carry. And I just thought, even on that, like 8 miles in, there was blokes dropping back. I thought, they've done a week of extra phys than I have. There was blokes dropping back and all the rest of it. And then like my ankle, probably like mile 10, mile 11, I was like, this is fucking starting to hurt now. Like, I need to, like, I'll get to the end, get in the wagon, and then get back to camp. But yeah, I remember passing that and then thinking, shit, there's like, lads have had an extra week of phys, and you know, they're hanging out at the back, and some blokes didn't pass and all the rest of it. I just thought, fucking hell, maybe be all right. But then you could see who the top lads were then, like Sooty, who was a little shit at the start. He turned into a man by then.
Unreal.
And his attitude at the start, I mean, he was like one of the worst blokes at the start.
Yeah.
So we were like, everyone was giving him shit. Like, he wouldn't take orders. He was like lazy, wasn't helping out. And then he just like this switch in his head. And then he turned into like one of the strongest, like top 5, top 6 guys on the course. Yeah. He was awesome. And then Daniel Benson and Jake Timberlake and all those guys. And it was, you could see who was going to pass at that stage. Like, you just knew it for definite. There was a couple of lads that had to be dragged a little bit. I mean, you always get, you probably always get that in every troop. And I imagine that, you know, you've kind of got to try and pass a certain amount of people through. Otherwise, the government would just be wasting a shitload of money. So yeah, but
there was some definitely slipping through the net who I made no bones about didn't want there. But again, we won't name names, but I think you'll remember him.
Yeah.
But
that was complete, like I remember that was complete bollocks, really.
Yeah.
It was one of those situations where you're like gifting this bloke a green beret.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't have you didn't pass like one of your you didn't pass but like several commando tests failed and then allowed to redo them on I don't know, essentially slightly easier circumstances. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Anyway, yeah, it is like it is. But watching the lads grow, you know, physically, mentally, and seeing you turn from, you know, a civilian to a Royal Marine, it's really, you know, amazing to see. I never thought it would have such an effect on me personally, because you know, I'd gone through, when I passed my PW course, I went, you know, pretty much straight out to Afghan. All I wanted to do was be at a unit, but I knew being a PW at some point I would be training recruits. So when the call got made and it was like, yeah, you're leaving 4-2, you're going to be at Lympstone for a couple of years. At first I was like, right, how is this going to go? Yeah. But I really enjoyed it. I loved it. And the worst part for me about taking 119 through was the weekend before test week, and I'd gone home, played football, smashed my ankle in, and then I couldn't do the 30 miler with you boys, which it ruined me. Like I was absolutely gutted that I couldn't do it. Because I'd taken you through from the beginning, and I wanted to take you over the line and you know, help and see you get those green lids. Obviously I was at the end of it, but that was worst part of my time at Lympstone, was knowing that I couldn't take you guys through the end of the 30 miler. But was there any part in training where you thought, I can't do it, this is me, I can't go any further? Apart from the injury, was there anything in your head which made you think, no, I just can't keep going?
There was a couple of doubt moments. I remember getting a migraine on one of the exercises and just feeling like shit for the entire exercise. Like maybe it wasn't, maybe looking back, it wasn't the entire exercise, but it was at least like 2 or 3 days where I just didn't feel like I could contribute. Or there were points where you really thought that you were on it. Like you thought you nailed down all your kit, everything was squared away, and then you'd come along and fucking find something, and then you'd be sat there, and it was the disappointment in yourself for failing that task.
Yeah.
Because I remember I can't remember who from the training team came in and basically said, look guys, at any point throughout training, you need to sit there and believe in yourself that there is fuck all that you can get, you know, caught out for. You know, your weapon's immaculate, your kit's absolutely spankers, like everything's absolutely fine. And I remember being on one of the exercises and I genuinely believed that I'd fucking squared everything away. Everything was like tip top. I was like, I've nailed this down. I can do it. I've nailed it down and I can do it quickly now. So it's not even like I'm efficient. And because there was lads that I always used to try and get as much sleep as possible. I'd try and do everything as efficiently as possible, rest as much as possible, eat all 4 meals a day. Cause a lot of people won't know, but you get 6 a.m. breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a 9 p.m. meal. So I'd eat all 4 meals. I'd sleep as early as possible, and then I'd do the same on exercise. When I was when the kit musters came out, I'd be like, right, okay, let's do this as quickly as I possibly can. Make sure that everything's squared away and get as efficient as possible. Like I'd memorize my Bergen, so I knew it So at night I could close my eyes and I'd know exactly where everything was and what was going on. But I just remember being on one kit muster and I fucking totally missed like one element, and you'd found it, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so pissed off with myself. But it was like I was just pissed off with myself, and that I'd let you and the training team down. It's just awful. But that was the point where I knew that I wanted it the most.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of lads that at that point, if you're looking at like, you know, week 16 to 20, that you could tell that there were certain lads that were just going through training, but they didn't really like want it like that badly.
Mm-hmm.
But it was those like little moments where I was like, fuck's sake, I'm so annoyed that I missed that like one little bit, or that bolt that I'd missed on my weapon and I'd completely missed it. Or you had your eye down something, can you stick your fucking, I don't know how long your pinky finger is, mate, but it would literally go in.
This finger.
I just remember it going, and then you just look at me and I'd be like, oh, fuck's sake, can't believe I've missed that.
What I'd do is I'd show you it first and show you that it's clean. I'd be like, right, you can see my finger is clean, and then I'd stick it in. I knew I'd get something. And I'd go to the point where my finger was inside that breach and it was hurting, but I knew I would scrape some shit out.
Something out, something.
Yeah, and then just be like, right, get on the flank.
You're shit.
But the thing is, I'd had that done to me as well. Like my corporal in training, Ginge Packham, no idea how he'd get his finger as far in until I became a PW, and I was like, okay, now I know I can get in there.
Now to do it, yeah, because we were never going to get it 100% right. But it was about that was all part of the character building. It was about taking those hits, putting your hand up, like integrity shout, yep, fucked up, I'll take the punishment, I'll stick it on the chin, I'll put it behind me immediately and then move on from it. Whereas I find that coming back onto Civvy Street, that's one of those things which everyone's trying to find an excuse. So I find all the time, like if I've cocked up, I'll just say like, I've totally messed up on this, you know, and then I don't have any guilt towards the fact that I've cocked up, because I've made people aware that I've messed up, and we can fix it and we can move on. Whereas that was probably the most difficult thing coming out of the military, was dealing with people that just flat out lied about stuff that they'd done, and you knew that they were just bullshitting.
I think there was a point, I think it might have been on might have been violent entry or one of the exercises towards the back end of training, and you know, we're getting to a point now where the lads who were there, you know we want to keep them, and you know, they want anyone who I was like, right, I need to get rid of this guy or nothing like that. It was, you know, if a lad had left through or wanted to leave, then we would take the guy into the office or whatever and try and talk him out of it, or just give him a bit of a pep talk. But it got to a point where you guys just kept messing up, and you were messing up constantly all the time in the field. And I think we had a bit of a complete pause. And I remember going and sitting you all down in this little shitty. It's my daughter coming up. This little shitty hovel outside the exercise, and I just said, "Look, lads, this is it now. This is serious. You just need to start switching on." And giving you a bit of a pep talk and said, "Look, because at the minute none of yous are performing." And after that, just letting you know that, you know, how much you actually want it and need to get it, and switch on as a team and become a cohesive unit. Hang on, Bill. And then after that little pause, just to say, look, lads, you know, and talk to you as people, not as recruits. Talk to you as lads there. And it was, you know, it was getting to that point where I wanted you to succeed that badly, but you was all messing up so much, and we couldn't understand why. But, you know, seeing that change, that transition, once we kind of like just said, lads, look, start acting, start growing up, start being adults about it. And then after that, it just kind of like you all clicked. It kind of just started to work. And towards the back end of training, going through live firing, and there's not one part of me that can remember thinking, how are these lads through here? How, you was all getting on to that level now of, right, these lads are now becoming Marines.
Yeah.
And yeah, for me, it was just a joy to see.
Yeah, no, it was funny when I got to my first posting after sort of finishing training, because I actually remember getting there and then meeting a few lads and not having anything in common with them. Right. So it was a very strange. It was like this peak through training of like top quality towards the end, especially, where we like reached this pinnacle point, and then getting sent up to Scotland, up to Faslane, and then just meeting a bunch of shit blokes. And I was like, fuck. And there was about 4 or 5 blokes that I clicked with, to the point where, because I found you in the training team and the rest of the training team like extremely professional. Like everything was so switched on. Like I had Spider towards the start. I think when did you come in?
Week 6 I joined you all.
6. So I had Spider, and then I had, before that, we had the Irish sniper. I still can't remember his name.
Who?
There was an Irish sniper that was right at the start. Was really angry all the time.
I don't think I knew him.
Yeah. McMullen, that was his name. McMullen. Right. I don't know. Anyway, but everyone that we'd had was so good in the training team. Like I just looked up to everyone. I thought, fucking hell, like, and Spider especially was like Superman.
Yeah.
And then finding out, obviously, I found out obviously he's a triple amputee. Mm-hmm. Obviously he got pulled off the training team, and then went to Afghanistan, and then unfortunately got blown up out there. But I remember getting to that first sort of well, it's not really a unit, is it? But got up to Faslane.
Yeah.
And I was just so like disappointed for like a good 6 months. I was just like, fuck's sake. Like, I think the corporals are shit. I think the like at least half the troop are just jokers. Yeah. I was like, no one's into their fitness the same way that Benny and Jake and the training team that I've just come from and everything else. It was just like this big climax and then a bit of a and I was like, oh fuck's sake, like what is going on here? And then I mean, luckily I like gelled with about 5 or 6 guys. But I have to say, like, looking back, training was the best part of my career, without a doubt. Like right. it was the worst and best experience like I've ever been through.
Yeah.
Because I found that you were looking towards something constantly, and then when I arrived at up at Faslane and then went down to 4-2 Commando after that. I think the Marines was going through that phase where it was trying to find its feet again after Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And it was doing a lot of exercises that were a bit sort of bullshit. Yeah. There wasn't really much going on. There wasn't really a purpose behind it. And then we did some anti-piracy stuff and all the rest of it. But I never really found the same level of like professionalism as there was through training. Yeah. And I think that's probably why a lot of the other guys went straight into like reconnaissance and then went on to do other stuff as well. But yeah, for me, training was like the best and the worst thing that's ever happened to me. It was good.
Awesome. So what was your kind of thought process? How long did you serve? When did you start thinking, right, this isn't for me, I want to get out, and then obviously falling into PT, that kind of thing, and then eventually becoming a gym owner? What was that kind of process like?
So I think for me, timing was just bad for our careers. I think for our troop, it was the end of Afghanistan. I was hoping to go on the final tour, and then I think David Cameron was Prime Minister at the time, and he cancelled it all, and we did like an anti-piracy thing after that.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I don't blame how everything planned out throughout my career, but obviously a lot of the guys that were in, they'd gone from Northern Ireland to Iraq to Afghanistan, and I think everyone just needed to have a rest.
Yeah,
like there'd been a war zone for the last 15 years.
That's it. My generation was that. I joined at the beginning of the second invasion of Iraq, and boom, that was it. Constant.
So, you know, I think it was just a timing thing, and then I got to about year 5, and there was like a bottlenecking going on in the Marines. So obviously lads were staying in, especially the guys that had been in a long time, because now they were at home all the time. Lifestyle was getting better. There wasn't a lot to do on camp. So I got to, I was sort of doing a corporal's position, but not getting the pay for it. And I just thought, oh, how am I gonna stay here for another 3-4 years and then still not be where I want to be and still on shit money and all the rest of it? So I just decided, right, that's it. My mum was over in Dubai. She'd been there for the last 4 years. I thought, right, okay, if I leave now, I don't want to go back into an environment like security where the owner of the company is probably an ex-sergeant major.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to get treated the same way as I was in the Marines. So I've got a choice. Do I go down that route, or do I go down the route of, okay, physically fit, hopefully I'll inspire some people along the way. I think I'll go down the fitness route, which is generally the two ways that guys go when they leave. So I left. I went to stopped off at my mum's place in Dubai. I think I left on the Friday. I had a one-way ticket on the Sunday to Australia. So I got a 2-year working visa in Australia. Did a stopover to see my mum for 2 weeks. Spoke to a friend of a friend who then said, oh, by the way, there's a personal training job out here. Didn't think anything of it. Flew to Sydney. Ended up doing some like buckshy jobs out there, landscaping, crap jobs, all the rest of it. Everyone was a backpacker. I was like, I fucking can't deal with, like, this is not for me at all. I've been there and done all that stuff. So yeah, I got the phone call about 7 weeks later, and he was like, well, I want you back in Dubai. Like, you've got the job. So I flew back, and that was it. Started doing PTing out there. A year later, started like a small fitness company, and then ended up having a bit of a disagreement with my business partner, and flew back to the UK after a couple of years. But yeah, I got back, and then funnily enough, got in touch with Lovell again. Mm-hmm. We went for a session down at the local gym that was sort of between us, and then Lovell just came out of nowhere and just said, oh, by the way, the gym's up for sale. So I said, well, okay, well, I this is the industry that I want to get into, and looking at it long term down the road, I don't want to have to be a personal trainer forever. So owning a gym is on the bucket list of things to do. So yeah, that was it. We had a conversation, and like typical bootnecks, like we followed through with it about 8 weeks later, and then ended up putting an offer in and bought the gym. So that was how it all panned out, mate.
Awesome. And then you've since gone on. Are you still involved with Lovell and that? And
yeah.
Is it Links Fitness?
Yeah. So 16 weeks ago, we opened up Links Fitness, the second facility. Awesome. And then Corona decided to jump in and destroy the progression.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it at the moment, mate.
Is everything going to be all right? Obviously, we don't know when we're going to open again, but are you guys going to be able to keep the facility?
Fine. I don't know about you. Do you manage to get any government support, local grants?
Yeah, we got the small business one, so yeah.
Yeah, so we got that as well. So that will cover us fine. And then if we're we just did a lot of damage limitation, ring the landlord, ring the bill guys, see what we can defer, see what we can.
Yeah, same.
I think that's one thing which bootnecks going into business is a really good idea, because you can just problem solve really effectively.
Yeah.
And there's no it's more like, instead of like crying and whinging about it and going, oh no, I'm stuck in this situation, what am I going to do? Everybody feels sorry for me. You sort of sit there and you go, fuck, there's a new problem. I need to solve it.
Yeah.
I'll give myself a day to be stressed about it, and then I'll write down a list of all the jobs that I need to get done, and then I'll get them all done, and we'll control the outcome of this as best we can.
Yeah.
So that was one of the great things that came out of being in the Marines, is just the ability to problem solve effectively and efficiently.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be fine. I mean, even if we opened up in August, which is probably more like my prediction that it will be August.
Yeah.
But yeah, even if we opened up in August, it will still be all right.
But you're starting to do outdoor stuff now as well.
Yeah, so outdoor training starts on Monday. If we have to do that for 8 weeks, 12 weeks, that will be fine. But yeah, I'm not too fussed about it. I think, to be honest, at the back end of this, hopefully people recognise what facilities they have locally, and support them more as a result of this. But I mean, how's it been your end with your guys and all the rest of it? You've got a good community at your gym.
Yeah, great community. Luckily the vast majority have stuck with us, and those who have left for reasons that they've had to, I know they'll be back. And we'll welcome them with open arms. And it's such a stressful place at the minute for anyone and for everybody's business. Small businesses, for people who are self-employed, it's tough on everyone. So we understand what's what, but like you say, if everybody stuck together and realised that, they'll get more value from, the kind of higher profile gyms, the DWs and the kind of Nuffields around the place. I think they'll be putting memberships on hold. I think that's what they've done, but are they really giving out any value for their members? Are they really giving out anything else? And what, like you, we kind of like had a day or two where we were like, right, so this is a situation we've got to close. What are we going to do to make sure that our members have the highest value possible from us? And we were lucky in the fact that we've got a lot of kit and equipment that we could loan out. So we lent out kettlebells, slam balls, barbells, plates, even flooring as well. So, my gym is kind of upside down at the minute. But, and giving, online personal training, online programming, I've been doing that for about 4 years anyway. So it wasn't new to me. I've seen so many new things on my newsfeed saying, become an online personal trainer and learn how to do all this. And it's like, luckily I'm not getting sucked into that shit, because it's just somebody trying to make a buck off you. But
yeah, exactly.
I've been around a little bit, understand the online programming, how to do it, how to use it, and it's been really effective, and we've had some really good feedback from it. So we're all right. Luckily we're all right.
I've found like a lot of my clients that are doing a really good job through this time are going for like long walks in the day, and they're now understanding that all the things that you've been telling them over the last 2 to 3 years, and when they actually start applying all those little bits and putting it into one solid solution, now it's suddenly working. You know, the amount of times that I've said you just need to go for a 30-minute walk at lunch, or you just need to go and do, and you don't need to feel like you have to exercise every single day, especially if you're someone who's super busy, you're in high level management, maybe you own your own business, whatever it is. Like just getting out for a 30-minute dog walk in the morning, a 30-minute lunchtime walk on your break, and then manage to get to the gym for 40 minutes in the evening. You know, that's if that's the solution that works for you, then that's going to be it. Like the amount of couples that I've seen walking in the evening now, while this coronavirus is happening, that would have normally come home from work, sat on the sofa, stuck the Netflix on, you know, ate a quick microwave meal, whatever it was for convenience, and then basically gone from sitting on their ass when they woke well, lying down, waking up in the morning, coming downstairs, having a coffee and some cereal, getting into a car, driving to the office, sitting at the office all day long, getting home, feeling mentally tired, not physically tired, and then getting home and then just eating some crap that they've picked up from the garage, sitting in front of the sofa, and they've moved a grand total of fuck all day. And then now you see them and they're like, oh, I've got my Strava account open, you know, not even went for a jog, just went for a long walk for an hour and a half. That's the type of sustainable activity that they should have been doing anyway before all of this. And there's still plenty of time. If you get home at 6 o'clock in the evening, you've still got 4 hours until you go to bed. Like it's not, you know, you don't need to sit and watch TV and stare at a screen for 4 hours. Like you can go and walk for an hour and you'll still have 3 hours to yourself to relax. You can still have a bath and chill and do whatever you want.
Well, even on that walk or run, like you don't have to listen to music. It could be a podcast. It could be something educational. You know, there's time there. People think, oh, I've got no time to do things. And that's the easiest excuse is the time one. There's 24 hours in a day. It can be utilized if people plan and prepare effectively. And like you say, just it's going to be interesting to see how these people react when they have to go back to work. That coming home from work, and because almost, you know, it's been, you know, thrown about exercise, go and exercise, do this, do that. So has it had an effect on people where people are being told to go and exercise, or are they kind of thinking, right, I will go and exercise because I know it's going to be better for me? Do you understand? Is it? How are people going to react when life returns to, you know, a normal?
It's funny. I was having a conversation with a client yesterday who's been unfurloughed, so she goes back to work on Monday. So her normal routine starts again from Monday. And she's been walking 10K a day and all the rest of it. I said, you don't need to have that as your target every single day. The 10K Monday to Friday as of next week isn't going to be realistic, because it takes you an hour and 40 odd minutes to walk that distance. You're not going to have that time in the morning. You're not going to want to do that for an hour and 40 minutes in the morning, to wake up at 5 a.m. to go and do that. But what you can do is go for a 20 to 30 minute walk in the morning. You can have a walking meeting or just go for a walking lunch, whatever it is, instead of wasting an hour sat around the coffee area, whatever. You can go for a 30-minute walk and spend 30 minutes at the coffee area to chill and relax. And then in the evening, you've got so much time. People that do a 9 to 5 don't understand how they don't have any time. You don't start work until 9 o'clock in the morning. You've got at least 3 hours before then to do something. And then in the evening, you're home by 5, 6 o'clock. And you've got at least another 4. There's 7 hours in your day, that's completely free. And you've got a lunch break as well. That's 8 hours. I don't remember the last time I had 3 or 4 hours in the morning to just get up and go and do exercise. Running a business and being self-employed, it's like, all right, well, my clients start at 6 a.m. And then I might not get home until 9 o'clock in the evening. some evenings. I mean, not every day. You know, hopefully I get home early and that, and I've planned well. But not a 9 to 5 office job. There's so much time. You have so much time on your hands. So much time.
So much time. But like for your kind of mindset, it's, and you know, people like ourselves, it's knowing that it could always be worse, knowing that we've endured far worse situations than what it's like now. Like I've seen a lot of stuff, lads posting about lockdown. This, you know, we've been told to sit here and watch Netflix and stay at home and stuff. Like we're not out in Afghanistan getting shot at. We're not, you know, living off rations. This is easy, really.
Yeah, it is.
But, you know, and for some people, they're going to really struggle because it's not normal routine. But little things, like you say, going for a walk, getting plenty of water, getting ample sleep, those three things, walking, water and sleep, on a health level, you know, if you get a client or a person, you get them kind of with those three things in check, their health is going to start to, you know, go on the curve on the way up. And there's some easiest things we can do. We've got access to water, free flowing water. We've got the ability to walk anywhere we want to go, and sleep.
Yeah,
getting those
exactly.
three things in check.
And if you're thinking about a respiratory disease, what you need to have you need to have an efficient set of heart and lungs. Forget strength training, forget all of that other stuff. If you're looking at it purely from a health perspective, now I've said this to so many people. There was a post up the other day about a family where about 4 people had died in the family, all from one family, and then they put a picture of the family up. The whole family is obese. The entire family. Not like just a couple of them. The whole family has poor diet, lifestyle habits. And when you start to understand that, you know, the more weight you have on your body, especially across your chest and around your lower stomach, that's covering your organs. That's reducing the blood flow, which carries all the oxygen. That closes up the airways in the lungs. Every single part of your body, as you start to gain weight and increase fat across the entire of your body, is reducing your ability to breathe properly, carry oxygen around, assist the brain, like all those functions which keep us alive. And if people just understood that, like going for a walk for an hour a day during this time, like you said, drinking water, sleeping well, you know, having a normal balanced diet, not some like fancy diet type keto this, paleo that, vegan, just a normal meat and 2 veg, like whatever. Even if you got
real food, whole real food.
It is literally that simple. And I think people are so overeducated, and they listen to the nutritionist at work, Jane, who's told them, you know, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and I've tried this new Huel diet and blah, blah, blah. It's, you know, that's not what's effective. The basics are effective.
The basics are effective. And I think that's something we could definitely go a lot more into, which would be a whole different podcast entirely. But
we won't go on another tangent.
Ross, first, mate, I just want to appreciate your time, and thank you for coming on and making the time for us.
Good.
If you know, obviously you're on social media, how can people find you? What's your
at ross.coaching on Instagram, and Ross Coaching and Fitness on Facebook, and website ross-coaching.com. So there you go.
Sweet. I'll link all them in the description as well, mate. But
awesome, mate.
Thank you, mate. It's been good to catch up.
We'll do it again.
Say hello to the lads in the 119 group for me.
Well, I'll add you in, mate.
I'm gonna go quiet.
Yeah. All right, mate. I'll catch you later.
Nice one, brother. See you, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Bye.